roles that has evolved based on the improvement in tech. We have something called product owner. You don't have to know how to write the line of code or know how to design. You just have to understand what the product is all about and ensure that whoever is doing the magic behind the screen is actually delivering what it should be, right? And that is just, you can say I didn't study that in school. It's nothing. So you have to understand the ecosystem of tech and understand your parts in tech. But do you necessarily have to be the main figure in tech, like writing code, writing, drawing designs and all that? Not necessarily. But you have to understand the ecosystem and know your part in tech.
Awesome, thank you very much. So one must understand the ecosystem. And then we, it's not only about writing code. There are other parts where people can feature. You know, it brought something to my mind just now about artificial intelligence, AI. But I'm going to bring it to the world of education. I saw a notice recently from UI's, and just to throw that in, you talked about UI design. We don't know about OAU design, though. Anyways, don't worry. OAU, yeah, I love you. All right. Okay, so the UI Communication Unit released a report about UI inaugurating an AI policy council, basically, to monitor how AI is used for research and all. So as a lecturer, as someone in the research world, what are things, maybe prospects for the use of AI or challenges in the use of AI in research that you've encountered thus far?
Okay, thank you. So I think that, especially because of the way the world is going, if, like, I'm going to borrow from what he said, if you don't understand artificial intelligence and how you can use it within the context or within the context of your work or within your discipline to increase your efficiency and effectiveness, you need to learn how to do it. So I think that in the area of education, AI can do a lot of things. AI can write, if you can prompt well, AI can write a research work for you, and it will be it wouldn't be perfect, but it will be almost perfect, especially if you know what you're doing. But at the same time, if you rely on AI too much, you'd realize that you begin to lose your touch of words or your command of words. If you write a lot with AI and you don't even get to proofread or edit it, you'd realize that over time, when you want to write on your own, there is a sense of fear or anxiety because you have not exercised your mind. Writing is critical thinking. And so because you have not exercised your mind enough, AI has always done that for you, it becomes harder to be able to do, unlike when you used to do it yourself and AI would just assist. And so the policy from UI is, it says, the policy actually states that your research work should not be more than 20% of AI. It doesn't entirely cancel AI. So they are saying, oh yes, there's AI. AI can be effective, but AI should not substitute or replace your level of intellect or your proficiency within your field or in your field. So there is an advantage in the sense that AI can help you outline things. If you want to write a research, currently, if I want to conduct a research, there are different artificial intelligence softwares that can help me get research works. That makes it very fast for me. Rather than me going to Google, like Google Scholar, to go and yesterday I was sharing with people in the education sector that there's currently an AI called consensus.app. There's almost no field where you're looking for a research work or a research paper that you won't find it there. And you would even find very recent ones because there's a rule sort of in the academia that when you're writing, you don't corroborate views from the 1970s. You try to corroborate views from like 5-10 years because they are the most recent. So AI can help with outlining. AI can help you get certain resources that you need faster. And that's the advantage. The disadvantage is when you place all your faculty and writing agency on AI. That wouldn't help you because by reason of less use, you are becoming less proficient in what you do. Whereas, in real sense, by reason of use, you should become more proficient in what you do.
Thank you so much for that. I know you touched on that yesterday in your Breakout group. I listened to the recording. So I'm going to head on a different segue here. Are there any challenges you faced in your career in tech thus far? And how has your faith been instrumental in solving them, if there are any examples of that?
Okay, I would say my journey in tech literally has been a journey of faith. Like I said, I didn't have anybody to hold my hands when I started. I didn't know there were communities you could join. I didn't know most of these things. So it was me just going to download a book of pdf.com or some, is it pdfdrive.com, Ed First, for Dummies and the rest, and watching long hours of YouTube videos. So I would say at the beginning,
So you are primarily self-taught at that stage.
well, at that stage, yeah, let's say that at that stage. So the part of faith is that there is, how do I put this? I don't want to sound too, okay, let me just say it in normal English, right? So there's that part where you know that there's an inkling where God is drawing you to, where God is drawing your attention to. One of the things I've noticed about myself that I thought it was a common thing, but apparently is not as I expected, is the fact that it's very easy for me to connect dots, right? It's just easy for me to connect dots. And that has put me in a position where I always think of how we can do this better, or how we can merge things together to make it better. So based on that, it just puts me in that position where I was constantly prodding to know what the next, how we can improve things. What brought me about, it was actually laziness that brought me about this electric car and everything, right? And the frustration of not having light. Okay, permit me. Can you hear me now?
Yes, you can.
Okay, I'm good.
Sorry, I can. Can we hear him, please? All
Okay,
right.
my apologies. My apologies. Okay, so at some point I mentioned I gave up. I did give up. And I ran away from anything tech. I gave up. And it was because I was frustrated. I didn't have a good laptop. I didn't have money for data. I was in UI then, in Kutiol. So I didn't have these things. But what made me go back it was a miracle, basically. I was walking, there was a guy staying in my room. He was just chilling in my room. He was not a bona fide member of the room. So he left the room and he took the key to the room. And that night, I was so tired. And that kind of irritation, like, why? You're not the landlord of this room. And I've gone to the cafeteria to chill for him. But that night, I was like, no, I'm not going to chill for this guy. So I went up to just look for him. I went to one of his friend's room at the top. I didn't see him. Went to the next room. Then he was in that room. Next thing I saw was his friend was actually doing mobile development. And I didn't even bother collecting the key. That's the funny thing. The minute I saw it, it sparked something inside of me that if this guy can do it, I can do it. And that was what brought me back to that journey, right? And going ahead, continuing that journey, I didn't still have a laptop years until I can't remember how long I actually wrote code in notebooks, right? I still have those notebooks for future reference. But I actually did write code in notebooks. During the weekend, I would go to my brother's house, borrow his laptop, and then write. You face bugs. Now, this part, the Lord helps me debug. They're actually technical problems that you have been looking and looking and looking. What I do, as a matter of practice, even till now, I don't spend too much time debugging. I leave the laptop, stand up, pray around, do some other things. And funny thing is, when you come back, you literally see the bug staring at you, and you're able to fix it. I've had countless experiences like that just go around, pray around. Sometimes it happens when I'm sleeping. I'm trying to think of how to build this architecture, and the next thing is, boom, just comes to me. Stand up, write it down, and so my faith practically, especially praying in tongues, it helps a lot. It does kabush some minutes, and so my faith essentially tied towards the proddings I've gotten of the Holy Spirit based on my work with God so far, which has to do with building solutions and optimizing processes, and also in practically solving issues that I face daily. Has been, I can't underrate it, right? I can't underrate it. So, yeah.
Thank you so much for sharing that. I want to ask you the same question. What are some challenges that one can face in the world of education? And on a personal level, are there examples of how your faith, or as in your walk with God, might have helped you through some of these challenges?
Thank you. I'm going to share within the Nigerian perspective. Because that's where we are. And so one of the major challenges that I think there is when it comes to education or the academia is one, the not so good system of remuneration. And I had known about it.
Basically, how much they are being paid.
I had known about it even as an undergrad, but there are times when there's passion. Do you understand what is? Until like after school, after NYC, and I'm realizing that I need I need much more. I need much more to be able to actually sustain myself. So I think it's a major challenge. But if personally your why isn't strong, anything can toss you. So I knew that okay, this is core for me. I know education is core, the academia is core, and as much as I am here, I'm realizing that this is actually a problem. This remuneration thing is a problem, and why I'm not exactly in the position to fix it. My life can be a blueprint for someone who has stayed there, is successful there, and has been able to create systems that can make me do other things that would make me the kind of money I want to use to sustain myself. And this solution or this resolution didn't happen, it didn't come by happenstance. I remember that sometimes last year, I was still speaking with him and I think Minister Testimony, and I was basically just lamenting that I think I'm not even doing it again. It's tech I want to do. That I think I'm not even, and I'm still date. I'm grateful for that conversation because that conversation snowballed into a lot of conversations with God, and this conversations moved from speaking in tongues to actually like sitting down and talking, like God, what's it? Bye. PhD. And I realized that even though sometimes I didn't exactly get certain answers, I didn't get the kind of answers I wanted. I didn't get some certain promises like, don't worry, in the next few months, Nigeria government will start paying them. I didn't get those answers. But what I got was an assurance, again, of my convictions. And the fact that there would be certain problems that I would be able to solve in that area and would pave a way for me to be able to get the kind of sustenance, right, or means of sustenance that I want. And another thing is, from conversations like that, certain things have happened, certain things have been expressed or exposed to certain things that have, when I think about them now, I'm like, wow, okay, I think my decision is reinforced that I'm here. And I'm here to make things better. So, for example, I didn't mention one of the other things I do or that I now do is to ghostwrite for people. And as much as I'm of the opinion that...
Sorry, could you just, in one sentence, define
ghostwriting?
Yes.
Ghostwriting is when you write for people and you are like a ghost in the sense that you are not being seen. You are writing, the person's name is on it. If the person wants to put your name in the book as probably an editor, that can work. But you are basically writing, you are telling or expressing the ideas of somebody because you have a better command of words than the person. And
it's legal.
Yes, it is.
Okay.
And so initially, one of the reasons why I was not very open to it was because I felt like, is this thing even good? Is it? But then I drew a line in the sense that I ghostwrite books, not necessarily academic works, not necessarily research works. And then there's a statistic that actually says that about 60% of books in the world are actually ghostwritten. And so it is, yes. I was surprised too. So it is now something that I am going to delve into, and then I'm creating another brand around. And so it's not just ghostwriting, it's editing, it's book development, it's to an extent authorship mentorship or author mentorship, quote and unquote. And this idea came out of just asking questions and sitting down with God and just talking with God based on that challenge where there's a not so good system of remuneration and how I can actually go over it. And surprisingly, again, even with the system of remuneration, I know it's not where we want to get to, but I know recently the federal government has signed an agreement to increase the remuneration system for lecturers by 40%. And that's although it has not been. That's a very good start. The fact that they agreed and signed to it. So that's one challenge. The other challenge is, I noticed, especially within the Nigerian higher education system, is that students see their lecturers like gods. You can't enter their office. Yeah. You can't talk to them. It feels like if you go in, and it's not like that. I feel like it's not the right way to do things, because one of the things that foster a good learning or a great learning is the atmosphere of learning or the environment of learning itself. So once the environment has been filled or layered with fear, there's definitely going to be a deficiency in how they assimilate or in their receptivity to whatever it is that you're doing. So one thing I've always done to rewrite that story or to rewrite that narrative is that in my classes, I ensure that these people are free to talk. These students are free to ask me questions. I incorporate certain things, like a lot of games that we probably used to play when we were young. For example, when I teach on phonetics, I know that a lot of people they are quite scared of it. So one thing I do is after teaching them consonant sounds, we play a game. We play the name, place, animal theme game. And instead of using letters, we use sounds. So I divide the class into two. I give them a sound, and then they start. What's a name with this sound, not the letter? What's a name? What's an animal with this sound, not the letter? And so with that, they are able to experientially distinguish between letters and sounds, and they're able to apply it.
Wow, thank God for that. Thank you so much, Minister Goodness. So, as a believer, as a child of God in the tech space, and in any other area, so you're an expert here, all right. So, what are things you would say the opportunities a believer has in that space to represent God well, and how a believer should conduct themselves in that space? What are some things you can say to that, sir?
Okay, thank you, sir. So I'll start from position of conduct. I would say, I think Pastor has said over time, charisma can get into the door, but character is what sustains it, right? I personally have experienced that firsthand, and I will have mentioned some things while we are streaming, so I'll quote it, right? I personally have enjoyed things like that, where from just a 3-month engagement to being a co-founder in a company without having to lobby or do anything. And it's the same, like there are different things that have happened, but we're not going into that detail. But it's one of the things I've seen is, yes, I was good, somebody recommended me, we did the project, but the way I interacted with this person made me just made me stand out amongst every other person that started, right? And she just enjoys interacting with me. Before she makes any decision, even though she's still the owner of her company and she's the CEO, she's like, oh, goodness, let's talk about this. I'm like, okay. Even if we just go back and forth, she expects me to challenge her ideas before she goes ahead with it. And that is something, when we're talking about character, you have to learn the character. Speak in tongues for 10 hours. You can receive revelation. But when you get to the field of implementation, you are dealing with men. And men have standards that will always buy them over. And if you think it's only God's favor you need, I'm sorry, you're just getting started. In the real world, you need God's favor. You also need men to favor you. Yeah, you need men to favor you. And I'm not saying that your future is tied to any man in particular, that one wicked boss is trying to behave rudely to you. But that wicked boss could actually be the system God created to train you in character. So don't just jump from one place to another. Learn how to speak with people of different generations. I've had a boss that likes interacting as guys. Like, oh, guy alpha. As much as he says that, I don't still casualize that relationship. Yes, maybe he's a couple of years older than myself, but he say, my oga, my boss. It's casual, but there's still that reverence. He says, guy alpha, may we run this thing. Oh, my oga, anything you say, now you be my boss. Right? And we interact on that level. There are people who demand the sir and the ma. And it doesn't cost me anything. I will put the ma and be tired of the ma. I will put the sir and be tired of the sir. Like, I will particularly put it there because I don't want to always err on the side of disrespect. I know we have Gen Zs, we have plenty of Gen Zs around here. And I know, we are very fast and you just want to move, you just want to clock it and do all that. There's some people who tell clock it and just get and fire you. I promise you. Yeah, and sad enough, we have a lot of bad reputation as Gen Zs that I think we need to work on in my generation. It's just the truth, right? And as much as I really love the Gen, we might see something, we can prove it wrong. They've also, we are falling my hand, in different instances. I think we need to work on that based on character. Your boss, you shouldn't just talk rudely to your boss. There are the ways you approach people, right? So character is very important. It's very key to success in anything you do, especially in tech space. Then the first one you mentioned, can't remember the first one.
Opportunities to represent God well, how a believer should conduct them. So you're actually answering the question already.
Okay. So opportunities to represent God well. If you have a good character, you smell nice and people are attracted to you. I promise you. You might not know the stuff, but you have a good character, you are respectful, you are not lazy. Laziness stinks. It stinks badly. But you have a good character, you do your work, you're not giving excuses, you're not saying, oh, every day of the week you're going to church, and because of that you're falling short with your task and everything. See, people will come and ask you eventually, say, let your light so shine before men, that they might see. So it means some people will never see God directly except through you. And if you have a bad character, you smell and you chase them away. So you are doing God a disservice. All right. So other things would be in the place, you see, everything you do now is a platform to represent Christ. That is core and fundamental to our faith, our belief. So whether you write the code, or there are things that people do that they put backdoors to projects, to code, where they can always come back to mess with things, and then you have to pay them again so that you can employ them, and they keep solving a problem and giving you another problem, right? One of the things, personal confession, one of the reasons I never started with software security was because I was scared that I might go and start hacking people and extorting them, right? Because I had seen that happen firsthand with a very close relative, how we duped big people and even countries by just hacking into their system and creating false information. So I was scared. I'm not saying it's bad. Right now, I'm exploring that field, right? So it's not a bad thing. It's just, where do you draw the line? You are in the world, but you are not of this world. So to be in that position, you must know where you draw your line. And always know that whether you're a bricklayer, you're in tech, you're a farmer, it is always a platform to show forth Christ. And the best way to show forth Christ is through good character and godly conduct. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. Just to let you know, not all of us will be in the business and tech space. Some of us are in the creative space. Some of us are in outer space if you're an astronaut. But the point is, yes, thank you very much. I hope we are picking lessons that we can all apply. I'm picking so much from these. So we have about a minute to go. So if there's one more thing, all right, if there's one thing you could say in about 30 seconds, maybe I've not touched on it in a question, but there's something that you would want to share that would help someone who is either in your field or wants to enter into your field, what would that be? 30 seconds, and also 30 seconds. You can start thinking about yours. Yes.
All right. So I would like that we open our Bibles to Colossians 3:23. Colossians 3.
Can we put that up? Colossians 3:23. All right.
Colossians 3:23.
Whatever you do, do it with all your heart.
All right. It says, and whatsoever you do, do it heartily as to the Lord and not unto men. And so I said this, I wanted us to use the scripture to say that in whatever we do, we should see our service as worship. We should see our work also as worship. In fact, we should see excellence as worship, as a form of worship. And that once we see excellence as a form of worship, we realize that we don't do things because of people. We are not working to please our boss, but to please somebody greater than a boss. We are not working or work to just for the show or just to impress people. Definitely, you can impress people and influence them into being good for themselves. But it is the ultimate expression or the ultimate reasons we do things is to the glory of God. And excellence is attractive. People are attracted to excellence. There's a reason why a lot of parents keep snapping pictures or a lot of people keep praising the child who always comes first. And so if you see excellence and your work as a form of worship, you'd realize that certain external factors that are meant to frustrate you won't frustrate you exactly. They would reinforce your reasons to keep on doing good. Yeah. So excellence is worship. Yeah. Do your work excellently because you're worshiping God with it.
Yeah, thank you very much, Minister Goodness.
I think she has mentioned part of what I would say, so I'll just go straight to John 1:1. The beginning was Word, Word was God, and Word was God. And you can go back and read. The same was in the beginning. Just read it to the end. What that place shows us is that everything that we see today is founded on God, Jesus Christ. And then we have the Holy Spirit who shows us the mind of God, which means as Christians, we have an advantage to understanding and solving problems in this world. And as Christians, we are mandated to maximize the advantage we have. So it's a challenge to you. It's a challenge to everyone. There is nothing difficult that cannot be solved because you have the Holy Spirit resident inside of you. Make use of him, and the sky is the beginning, as we put it.
Thank you so much. Please, let's celebrate them as they return to their seats. Thank you very much for being a blessing to us. Really appreciate it. Thank you so much. We appreciate you so much. All right, so we'll be going on a break to resume by 4 p.m. For the evening session, which would be a worship meeting with our beloved Pastor Joshua Timi. So please, let's not be too far if you are going anywhere. There will be refreshments. There are vendors downstairs ready to provide sustenance for you. Are we getting refreshments? Yeah, all right. So can you stay around, talk with someone, say hi to somebody, and then we resume by 4 p.m. So see you in a moment. God bless you.